Many religious systems are really interested in going to heaven or not going to hell or, you know, like that. But our system is we just want to go where the Lord is. And we're seeing this right now in this chapter. The women and all the devotees are lamenting because the Lord is not there. He's about to leave. Now you'll find this in your life too. There will be plenty of places, devotional places, where the Lord is clearly present, here and in this activity. And then there's plenty of places where Kali was given jurisdiction to rule. And that's most of now of this age, most places other than the temple and the association of devotees. So Kali has totally infiltrated and totally taken over. But the Lord is not going to be felt there, even though he's there underneath it all. But he's given license for Kali to be the ruler of that place. So, it's actually going to be found out in a few chapters. The place is given, but it has to do with the regulative principles, where there's no mercy, where there's violence towards animals. So like even like you go to Costco and you go over to the line, there's this giant display of all the slaughtered animal parts. You be careful in Costco. At the same time, we get many things from Costco to try and offer to the Lord as well. But it'd be ideal if we weren't having to support Costco so much. But Kali Yuga is very difficult. Yeah, you get the best of a bad bargain. That's Kali Yuga for you. So anyhow, but where there's intoxication, so restaurants, bars, all these places, but many of them have all of these things. Where there's cheating forms of, monetary exchange, like a casino, gambling, all these things. But even, go to the airlines. You never know. Someone's always got something up their sleeve to cheat you in Kali Yuga.
Actually, bars now, you could violate all four regulated principles.
Oh, because you can gamble there.
Intoxication, they have quick draw or whatever.
Yeah.
Sex life and
yes, and then the last one is where there's illicit sex life, so a brothel or something like that. But even, we can invite all of these things right to our home, open up, all these things, have your buddies over for poker, drink some beers, eat some meat, and then hopefully, I don't know, Kali Yuga is wild, but ladies, men, whoever wants to stay after, you can do all kinds of nasty activities. But anyhow, that's ideal. You're not going to feel Krishna where these things are. You won't feel Krishna. No chance. You could try your best. But if you're participating in these activities, they are Krishna's like blocking system. Like, okay, you don't want me. Go ahead. So like this, we have to be very careful. These things creep their way in elaborate ways. One of the biggest addictions for young men especially, and maybe even old men, is pornography, where, this illicit sex fantasies are played out right in front of their faces. And, they find it's actually, and I suffered with this for many years. I was kind of just brought up in this culture. But now that I look back at it, I'm just like, disgusted with the whole activity. I can't even believe that was part of my life. But this finding pleasure in this way is very degraded activity. Nobody feels great after, maybe a sense of relief is there, but nobody's very proud of what they've done and want to display it to the world. It's a more of a shameful thing. I find it funny. But yeah, this is like the norm. Actually, college men, young men, this is a huge norm. So anyway, we have to be very careful with how we associate, food, all kinds of forbidden things. When you eat forbidden foods, we can, it's usually smelled and things like that. Try not to. Onions and garlics they seem innocent. They're not so innocent, actually. There's Vedic lore of how they even arose. They arose from a forbidden animal sacrifice. So I'm not going to get into the whole story, but
And they throw part of the body one way, and then mushrooms or garlic grew, and then another one.
yeah, there was a Brahmin who was having a forbidden desire, so he took a piece of the sacrifice and he buried it in a place, and he was going to go back later and try and have his desire to taste flesh, which was something that he should never have done as a Brahmin. But
But also it was also not just any animal.
it was a cow.
Right?
Yeah, it was a cow sacrifice.
In fact, it was a calf, I think.
Yes, something like this. So, but anyhow, yeah, so this is the lore of how actually carrots, onion and garlic grew. So, even carrot, yes. Prabhupada allowed the Western carrot. Even I think he allowed the Indian carrot too. But very strict Vaishnavas, they'll even avoid carrots too, But the very least, onion and garlic, there's a very serious effect. It's not going to be good on the consciousness. I mean, you could try it yourself if you eat something with onion and garlic. I mean, if you control your sexual desire for some time in your life, and then you eat onion and garlic, you will feel an immediate surge of energy in the place that you were trying to control. And it creates like almost an insatiable itch. And that's happened to me in my life a few times, and I'm just always marveling, how the heck is this happening right now? I have no, it's a wild experience. Anyway, so when you're over your friend's house or something like that, and maybe they eat onion and garlic or things like this, you should always avoid, it doesn't matter, vegetarian, not vegetarian, this is going to have an effect. So anyway, I don't want to make it all about the regulative principles today, but these are very important things to understand. Why? Because Krishna will not be present in these places. He is said where you can feel him and how to feel him, and he's given a process by which you can come to him. And if you take the process, you can, swim in the bliss of Krishna consciousness. It is blissful. It is blissful. Like, I actually felt very happy that because Ben was here actually, I was able to not be on mridanga or the kartals, and I can actually just dance. And it's so blissful that because Ben came, that could be added to the repertoire of activities in the morning. So, it's a very blissful experience, but you have to also live it. You're not going to be blissful if you are, okay, I'll do a little bit in the morning, but then behind closed doors, I'm going to shut myself away from things and do things I know I should not be doing. How are you going to feel it? You'll not feel it. You'll just feel like a sense of maybe hypocrisy, or feel a sense of like, dang, So this is something, and I've been there, I've done it. I'm telling you from experience. When I follow, I feel good. When I don't follow, I try to work my way back to feeling good. And then but you suffer. You suffer the result of, letting things creep in there that shouldn't be there. The rules are given. We can't be whimsical. Oh, well, it's not about the rules. It's about just bhakti. Yes, but the rules are given so you could actually cultivate the bhakti. You could cultivate the love. So it's very important. Very important, yes.
But it is a process. I mean,
of course.
You can't turn a switch on and go, okay, I'm just going to give up everything and just surrender completely to
Absolutely,
Krishna.
yes. I mean, even what Prabhupada gave is a total process. There's a lot more than 16 rounds and 4 regulative principles. He gave a process. He recognized they were he gave other things before that. But he realized where they were and like, okay, here's your process. So that's what Prabhupada gave. But even that, I mean, there was a famous devotee, Shyam Sundar. He was the one who actually got George Harrison into the movement. He was smoking cigarettes, carving the first Jagannath deities. Smoking not only cigarettes, he was smoking packs and packs of cigarettes. Like 2 packs of cigarettes a day. That's a lot. I know a couple in the room have dealt with nicotine before, and it is the worst addiction. It's the hardest addiction to cut. But Prabhupada didn't tell him, just give up your nonsense. You know what he told him?
Smoke 1 less each day.
1 less each day. That's the process. But you have to be honest. Am I taking the process? Is there an actual process happening, or is it whimsical Like, oh, I feel like smoking a little less today. But then going back to something, okay, we're recognizing, okay, let's just say I have a masturbation addiction, let's just say. Trying not to have that. But, if I were to just say, okay, I'm doing this activity 40 times a week, going down to, I have a really bad addiction, but if I go down to zero, it might not be possible. But if I start, all right, I'm going to only do it 35 times this week. And then, why are you laughing so much? All right, I'm going to only go down to 30. This is a process. This is what it means to be on a process. Yeah. I've always hated cigarettes my whole life. By good fortune, my aunts smoked cigarettes, and when I was a kid, I was at a barbecue, and I ate a bunch of watermelon, and I was a little cute kid, and all my aunts wanted to hug me and kiss me, but they had cigarette breath and everything, and I was taking in the cigarette secondhand smoke, and next thing I know, I just vomited everywhere, and I've just always hated cigarettes ever since. Yeah, and then I smoked one in college, and I still hated it. And I was like, why the hell did I do this? And I threw it away. I was like, I like the weed better. Give me the weed. So, but anyhow, it was my good fortune, so to say. But yeah, the process is actually reducing. If you're not actually reducing and systematically reducing, you're not part of the process. So we have to make it a process, And yes, there's many things happening, in our life. We were doing so many things. I was doing so many things. Even my interactions with women, I had so many inappropriate interactions with women. And even still now today, many years later, I find I have to be careful with how I talk to women, because these old samskaras can come up again very easily. I actually, luckily it was mostly my family I was seeing, but I was noticing how, if I talk, what that association and interaction will do to my consciousness. And so you have to actually, and it's a process, there's so many things. We're giving up this, we're giving up that, we're giving up this, we're giving up that. It's so many things. But at the same time, make sure you're on the process, not that like, all right, I'll give up this, but I'm going to replace it with this. And that's also not good, Make sure the process is actually happening. Okay, I'm lessening the things that are taking me away from spiritual advancement. Spiritual advancement gives happiness. I'm interested in happiness. You can use your intelligence to guide you. Okay, this is actually just going to set me back. I know the urge is there. But I know this isn't going to work. And Krishna will always give you a sign too. I remember, I spent the weekend with my family, and just, the mind is it's so crazy when you're with people who, do activities that for happiness that can't give happiness, but the illusion that happiness is there. It subtly makes you believe that those things can make you happy too. So I remember I was walking down the road, and I got some stupid idea in my head that shouldn't be there. I don't need to go into detail. It's a little personal. But next thing I know, this idea revisited me a few times. And every time Krishna showed me a sign. I'm walking my dog, I'm thinking about this while I'm chanting. I look down and I see my dog sniffing something. I'm like, what's he doing? And all of a sudden it's like a dead deer. I'm like, oh God, and I had to pull him away. And then I'm going on and going on. I'm trying to go back to decent chanting. But next thing you know, that stupid idea will creep up. And then I see a vulture hanging around, death. And I'm like, oh God, but this happened multiple times. Crows and vultures and deer and all. Krishna, he's not leaving you bereft. He's going to let you know what's right and what's wrong. But it's up to you whether you actually want to pay attention, So it was nice. I felt fortunate that Krishna was giving me these death signs that the stupid ideas that you're getting, that it's not very good, So it's like this. We have plenty of stupid ideas. For time immemorial, we've had all kinds of stupid ideas. But it's time to be, the Guru has given us some transcendental knowledge, and by him emanating ecstasy, it'll just be proof that, wait a second. Yes, our foolish fantasy should end. Our fantasies of happiness, it'll be obvious. wait a second, look at this person actually emanating in ecstasy. I actually want ecstasy. But what's his process? Nobody just like randomly is ecstatic. There's a process, there's a science, there's an art. So what is the science? Actually, Bhagavatam is teaching. So I'll actually do the thing where we read the Bhagavatam. So that is what we're supposed to do. So anyhow, I'll glorify the Gurus first. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raguna Tanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvaitam Bhavijana Sahitam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Jai. So the good news is one of these things on our process here is to stop hearing so much material nonsense. You know, things like the news, the celebrity thing, the sporting, all these things that are, you know, just piling in material consciousness. And we're hearing Bhagavatam. So welcome. It's a part of the process today. Thank you guys for taking Harikatha. Hopefully I evoked the Gurus so that if I say anything, that it's in alignment with their teachings. It's ultimately in alignment with the Bhagavatam, in alignment with Krishna. That's my prayer. And this is what we should hear. So let's hear directly from Srila Prabhupada's translation of the Bhagavatam. Repeat after me. Yes. Yes, I'll do this work.
Actually, if you put it back to where it was, like where it's not full screen.
It's better?
Yeah, because then when you zoom in, it's big.
Okay, no problem. But how did I lose that now?
It's 27.
Wow, okay.
These laptops are a little weird with the zooming, but if you're using two fingers and like a scissor cutting motion.
Yes, I'm familiar with the zoom, but I don't know how. I don't know why it's not unzooming now. I can't even read. Maybe like that? No, for whatever reason. Okay, that works. All right, so now, text 27. Aho bataswa yashasastiraskari kushastali punya yashaskari bhuva Pashyanti nityam yadanugrahe shitam Smitavalokam svapatim smayat prajaha. Aho bhatta, how wonderful this is. Swayashasa, the glories of the heavenly planets. Tiraskari, that which defeats. Kushtastali, Dwaraka, Punya, virtue. Yashaskari, famous. Bhuvaha, the planet Earth. Pashyanti, see. Nityam, constantly. Yat, that which. Anugraha ishitam, to bestow benediction. Smita avalokam, glance with the favor of sweet smiling. Swapatim, unto the soul of the living being, Krishna. Sma, used to. Yat praja, the inhabitants of the place. Translation, undoubtedly it is wonderful that Dwaraka has defeated the glories of the heavenly planets and has enhanced the celebrity of the earth. The inhabitants of Dwaraka are always seeing the soul of all living beings, Krishna, in his loving feature. He glances at them and favors them with sweet smiles. Now, Prabhupada says, the heavenly planets are inhabited by demigods like Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu, and the pious souls reach there after performance of many virtuous acts on earth. Modern scientists agree that the timing arrangement in higher planetary systems is different from that of the earth. Thus, it is understood from the revealed scriptures that the duration of life there is 10,000 years by our calculation. They just did a movie like this called Interstellar not that long ago, and they played with this idea where he had left the planetary system for some period of time, and they were all worried, like, if the more time you spend out here, I think it was like on the moon of Jupiter or something like that, I didn't really watch the movie, but I heard about these things.
It's a good movie.
It is, okay. So, but anyhow, the more time he spent out here, the more time was going to rapidly go on Earth. And if he stayed too long, and I think when he got back to the Earth, his like little daughter was now like an old lady, and I think something like this. So, but this is also, remember when Brahma took the calves and the cowherd boys in the Brahma Vimohan Leela, he took them for 1 year. He took them for one moment of his time, but one moment was one whole year on the earth, and Krishna performed his tricks for 1 year of giving pleasure to everyone. So this is very interesting. That how could the ancient Vedic people have known this? How could they have known such a thing? But this is the reality. Of course, it's because they had actually superior understanding and science and technology, so many things. So thus it is understood from the revealed scriptures that the duration of life there is 10,000 years by our calculation. 6 months on earth is equal to 1 day on the heavenly planets. Facilities of enjoyment are also similarly enhanced, and the beauty of the inhabitants is legendary. Common men on the earth are very much fond of reaching the heavenly planets because they have heard that comforts of life are far greater there than on the earth. They are now trying to reach the moon by spacecraft. This was written before that supposedly happened. Considering all this, the heavenly planets are more celebrated than the earth. But the celebrity of earth has defeated that of the heavenly planets because of Dwaraka, where Lord Sri Krishna reigned as king. 3 places, namely Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwaraka, are more important than the famous planets within the universe. These places are perpetually sanctified because whenever the Lord descends on earth, he displays. Can you guys read? Is this too small?
If you take, how you moved it over to the side? Like
Yeah, I can do like this.
Well, no, I was gonna say if you unzoom and then, how you moved like the whole page over.
You can just go ahead
before?
and zoom it up on us.
Yes. I'll just do like this.
Just go full screen.
Yes. So, full screen?
Yeah, and then zoom out a little bit.
Now I'm confused. I'm going back to what I was doing. This is not my forte. So these places are perpetually sanctified because whenever the Lord descends on earth, he displays his transcendental activities, particularly in these 3 places. They are perpetually the holy lands of the Lord, and the inhabitants still take advantage of the holy places, even though the Lord is now out of their sight. This is a project of my wife and I, so we want to go every year to see if we can immerse ourselves in these holy places. Why? Because you can feel the Lord present there, even still. The places where the Lord has touched, they are very holy, and this is where saintly people will gather, and this is where you'll make the most advancement. So once a year, my wife and I, we want to see if we can arrange this. But then hopefully, ultimately, we can schedule bringing some of you guys around and show some of the things that are present there, especially the saintly people. We can introduce and we can invite them here as well and bring the walking holy places to here in Syracuse. So, the Lord is the soul of all living beings, and He desires always to have all the living beings in their swarup, in their constitutional position, to participate in transcendental life in His association. So this isn't a really well-known thing, but there's layers to ourself. Right now, we are participating in what's called Maya Shakti, or actually Maya means that which is not. So we look in the mirror and, ooh, I'm looking good today. That has nothing to do with who you are. That's not who you are. That's not your form. That's your body. That's the flesh, the muscle. That's all these things. You can look in the mirror like, oh, I can use this body for Krishna today. Maybe if you're really enlightened. But that's not what most of us think. But, ooh, mine. This is who I am. This is not who you are. But anyhow, one swarup, that is, I wish I realized my swarup, but I'm not at that place. But someone who has realized their swarup can show you your swarup. And again, this is at the highest levels of bhakti, when bhav, which is right underneath prem, when bhav bhakti is achieved, one can actually realize one's swarup. And that means swa is one's own and rup is form. Your actual form in eternity. Your actual position as a soul, and how you eternally relate to Krishna. Right now we look in the mirror and we see exactly who we're not. That's Maya. So the Maya Shakti. But ourselves, as a Jiva Shakti, if we can realize our Swarup, only by mercy.
I'm kind of grateful I don't look like this for real.
Yes, that's good. It's good. You should be that's a great realization. It's a great, it gives us great hope. Yes, the old body in this material world is not our Swarup. We're ever youthful, like Krishna. But we have to earn that right now, because we are associating with the Maya Shakti. Instead, all we can see is that which is not. And that's why it's always changing and always leaving us fearful, and leaving us fearful especially of death. So anyhow, just so you know what Swarup, in their constitutional position, who we really are, to participate in transcendental life in His association. Because that's our real function. We were created to associate with the one who created with us. Just like a leaf is created to be in association with the rest of the tree. If the leaf wants to break off from the tree, it loses its source, it withers, it dies, and that's what we do. We're broken off little jivas, and we break ourselves off. My wife is carrying the child, and we sing every morning, at birth I had promised Krishna to relish his bhajan, but I live in a world of darkness. My promise is forgotten. Why? Because in the womb it's so painful. It's so painful. Like the skin is so sensitive. Every little bit of salt she eats, every little bit of sour she eats, it burns the baby. It's like a really painful, uncomfortable situation. He's right now upside down. His butt is in the air, and he's just stretching out his legs, and he's kicking him through her stomach. It is a very painful position. But at this time, the baby actually, it has memory, and it remembers many lifetimes over, and it begs the Lord for mercy. And we promise the Lord, in this life I will worship you. In this life I will worship you. But then as soon as we come out into the world, the doctor spanks us, and so much is going on here. We're going to try not to have that happen, like a spanking doctor or anything like that. We're going for the home birth. But anyway, we get befuddled and fooled in Maya acts and we forget. And most of us, we spend our entire lives not really worshiping God, and we forget our promise we made at birth. That's why when we sing that, this is a Vedic concept in the morning. At birth you had promised Krishna to relish his bhajan. Live in a world of darkness, your promise forgotten. It's why it's good to sing the English, because you actually remember it. Like, I wouldn't know what Balite, Bulia, I can't even remember, but yes, samsara vitare. Yes, samsara, you don't want to come back into this world of birth and death. But anyhow, here we are. So his attractive features and sweet smiles go deep into the heart of everyone, and once it is so done, the living being is admitted into the kingdom of God, from which no one returns. This is a big debate, because a lot of the Vaishnavas, they say that, a lot of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they say that we're in this material world because of we've fallen. We've fallen from the spiritual world. We started in the spiritual world, but we've fallen. But actually, Prabhupada, what he said right here is that's impossible. But it's interesting because Prabhupada has said a few different things, a few different ways that has created the debate. But ultimately, what he's saying is also confirmed by our other acharyas. Once we're admitted into the kingdom of God, we'll not return. And it's almost exclusive that we didn't come from the ultimate spiritual position. It's not like we came from perfection and somehow got overwhelmed by ignorance.
Well, my understanding was that because we became envious of Krishna.
Yes, but how could one become envious?
We're marginal energy.
Yes, well, that is the fact. But it's not that we were in perfection and then all of a sudden the mode of ignorance can overcome us to become envious, because that we couldn't have been in perfection if that was the case. But
that is the argument.
What is that?
Like
Yes. That is the discourse, because Prabhupada has said multiple things, but in here he's saying...
And then when they asked Prabhupada, he said, he goes, you could fall again, but you won't.
Yes. So there's a couple, you'd have to look at all the things, but from what I've seen, and if you also take what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in Madhurya Kadambini, it's very clear. The only falling is out of service, and that's what Jai and Vijay did. They actually wanted to, Hiranyakashipu and Ravan, they were great devotees of the Lord. The Lord had a desire to taste Vira Ras in that place.
All I know is I'm not there now.
Yes. That's all. That's really what matters. We're not there, but at the same time, it's something that we'd like to achieve one day, but you don't have to fear that you'll fall again, type of thing. Actually, that's not, as he's saying here, from which no one returns. These are Prabhupada's words that he wrote. No one returns from the kingdom of God once you're admitted. So this is very interesting. This is why the devotees, we're very interested in going wherever the Lord is, the kingdom of God. We're not trying to go where there's a paradise. I was just at like a funeral, so it's kind of like a little fresh in me. I swore I heard that my uncle was watching the Mets in heaven. I was like, the Mets are in heaven. So I just like chuckled. I wasn't gonna argue. I wasn't gonna argue with anyone about it. But I was just kind of thinking, like, one, if he did go to heaven, that's amazing. That would be wonderful. But two, I don't know if he would be watching the Mets in in heaven. But he liked that on this earth. So, but we don't have most people don't have really good information of what's happening in heaven or what's, but they don't, like the Vedas give all kinds of description of what this destination looks like, what the activities are, what you do, what that form of the Lord looks like that is worship there, and so on. But, we have a lot of cute conceptions, and at least in Western thought is I'm always just like, think that's very cute. Like I saw on Facebook someone passed away, and maybe like 6 months ago, and they literally said, I hope you take a few beers and a cheeseburger for me in heaven. I'm like, beers and cheeseburgers are in heaven. Yes, they're still killing animals and putting their breast milk on the killed animal, which is with the cheese on the burger. Like, what? Like, but we just don't have better information. So that's just what they come up with.
It's like a continuation of like this.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, all the best material pleasures of this life, it must be there. So anyway, no problem. We're not gonna. I'm not gonna sit there, especially when people are mourning. I'm not gonna. Waste my time like that. But just obviously, right? This is. We may have to consider it's not like that. I think there's a song about this. Is Cheeseburgers in Paradise by Jimmy Buff? Is that about cheeseburgers in heaven? I don't know. But anyhow. The heavenly planets may be very famous for offering better facilities of material enjoyment, but as we learn from the Bhagavad Gita 9:20 and 21, one has to come back again to the earth planet as soon as the acquired virtue is finished. Like when you go to a nice resort or at a hotel. You earned this vacation. I paid $6,000 for my dream vacation. So you're at the hotel, and there's a spa, and there's this, and there's that, and the finest dining, and you're like, yes! And who knows, maybe you're in a foreign country, they even got young ladies serving you everything that you want, and you're like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. I know people who they go to Thailand and things like that for this type of enjoyment. But once the credits on the account are finished, once your bank balance can't sustain that anymore, you have to leave. That's your karma. Once you've earned your sufficient, destination and your enjoyment thereof, it's finished. Money's out. You can't tell the nice resort place, wait a second, this is my home now. I very much like. I say, okay, well, you still can pay $600 a night, right? No, I can't pay, but I like this place. This is my home. So they'll call the police and you'll be removed because you can't stay there. That's not what it is. You didn't earn that. You have to earn your position. But with the Lord, and if we somehow or other receive the mercy of the kingdom of God, Prabhupada's saying no one returns. You can actually live like that forever. But what's the difference? It's not for your enjoyment. It's always in pleasure to God. But guess what? That will ultimately be your enjoyment. You'll enjoy so much greater that way. Just like the leaf on the tree is enjoying so much better when you give the water to the root. And it gets nourished so much better than you just, oh, I like this leaf. Do you see that? There's some really nice purple leaves that are near the window because it's a Krishna Tulsi. And the Krishna Tulsi actually is purple. This is a very sick Krishna Tulsi because it's not good. Syracuse is in a good environment for it. So it turns green. But you see the Krishna leaves. Ooh, I like this leaf. I'm going to give it all the water. It doesn't matter how much water I give that leaf. Unless I give it to the root, its source, it's useless. So this is us in our life. What are we giving our time and our energy to? A nice talk yesterday with Piyush about what is it we really should be focusing on. Yes, we have material duties. A lion, I was listening to Prabhupada in a lecture this morning. A lion cannot just sit there and I'm the king of the jungle. So the food will all just come to me. I don't have to do anything for the food. The food will just come to me. Yes? No, it's not how it works.
Actually, the female lions are the ones that do the hunting. They do bring it to the males.
Well, you know what? You could talk to Prabhupada about this one. But anyhow, the male has to do something to earn his keep. And there's also, I've seen, I have a bad habit of sometimes on Facebook. One of the things I like to watch is just animals in their natural habitat. Like a jaguar leaping into a river and pulling out an alligator or something. For whatever reason, this is attractive to me. But anyhow, and the AI knows it, and it just keeps putting this animal violence on my and on my AI thing. But anyhow, the lions they do something. I'm sure the male lions, but they have to hunt. They have to earn their keep. They have to put in endeavor. That's what bhajan is. That we relish his bhajan. We sing it every morning. What is bhajan? Yes, it's worship, but what is worship? It's an endeavor. We're going to relish making an endeavor for Krishna. That's what we're making an endeavor. But we're not making an endeavor for a job. We're not making an endeavor for to maintain my wife. I'm not making an endeavor to maintain my children. That's not the endeavor. Those things will all happen anyway, because it's part of the Lord's plan. I don't need to make an endeavor to maintain the house. That's not where the endeavor goes. You make an endeavor for Krishna. Now, a job might be part of that endeavor. I really want to do this for Krishna, or I really want to help these people do something for Krishna, and this job can help do that. So I'll work this job, no problem. Prabhupada had so many, Satsvarup Maharaj. You're going to go visit him, actually. That's my Guru Maharaj's plan. But he was one of Prabhupada's early disciples, and he quit his job. He joined the temple. He kind of did like what Michael was doing. And then money got really tight, and Prabhupada said, you had a teaching degree. Please go back and teach and give your check to the temple so it can help. And he did it. And it was glorious. And he was able to work sincerely for Krishna. I'm working for Krishna. So like that, Krishna will maintain you, no problem. Yes, you have loans, you have all these things coming at you, bills, things like that. Oh my God, I'm scared of these things. No, I know, because I also have them. But Krishna, he figures out a way. As of right now, something for my loans is being, I have some mitigation program. But I keep ignoring the guy who keeps calling me to recertify, so I should really call him back. Or Krishna's mercy might be taken away in that regard. But anyhow, this is you'll always get your plan, you'll always get what you need. But what's the goal? We're going towards Krishna is. We're trying to go to the place where we don't have to come back. What does Prabhupada say?
Go back.
Back to Godhead. We're trying to go back to Godhead. That's the goal. We're not interested, once I get this job and I get past this obstacle, I'm free, I'm clear, it's good. No, you'll have another mountain of obstacles.
But to go back to Godhead, we had to start there.
Yeah. Well, that's the argument, right? That's the argument. But it's
I still believe that.
yeah. I was reading a book on it not that long ago. It's what's said is that we're Tatastha Shakti, right? We're the jivas. And this is, I'm not giving you my own thoughts. I'm going to give you what Jiva Goswami, what Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, and even what Prabhupada is saying here, which the kingdom of God, no one returns. There is a piece of spiritual existence, kind of like what you'd call like the Brahmananda, you could say like the Brahma Jyotir, where it's a spiritual place, and that's where from there the jivas are emanated. This is from Mahavishnu. But ultimately, in like Goloka, or with Krishna, or in Vaikuntha, no jiva can go back. Once you've achieved that level, you can't go back. So, or you will never go back. You'll have never, ever anything could touch you. But when we come, we're kind of in this neutral spiritual place where if we have any desire towards going against Krishna, which we all made that desire at some point, we wanted to be the enjoyer, and Krishna, God's position wasn't so relevant to us or desirous of us. So there's a world for that, and welcome. We're here. But ultimately, if we do want to go back to Godhead, right, we're actually going to go beyond where we came from. And once we go there, as Prabhupada says here, no one will return.
But why didn't he call it just go to Godhead instead of back to Godhead?
You know what? That's a good question, actually. That I don't know. It is a good question. No, it's a good, because this is what the whole debate is about. Many of Prabhupada's disciples are very emphatic, and they'll even, challenge the previous acharyas because of Prabhupada's statements of back to Godhead.
And he also says back to home, and I don't think it necessarily just immediately means like, oh, we were there already, but like, like Krishna.
Well, that's the other side's
associated
argument.
with Krishna is home.
Yeah. Well, that's the yes.
You never say go to Godhead, not go back
Yes.
But
So this is the whole argument. No, I didn't know we were going to get into this today, but this is the whole.
Like I said, though, we're not.
Yeah.
We're not there. Now.
So, but basically, Vishwanath Chakravarti, he makes it clear, once Vaikuntha is achieved, there is no going back. But unless you want to go back for service, and some, that's Jai and Vijay. Jai and Vijay, they actually achieve Vaikuntha, and if you read the Bhagavatam, they go back here, but ultimately it was due to the desire to serve the Lord's purpose. So anyhow, who knows? Maybe that's why we're all here. Yes.
Prabhupada uses that example. It's if there's a forest fire, you're not thinking of like, okay, where did this start? Find the origin. You just like need to get out.
Yes.
Basically, you
Yes.
know, like so. Because there's
Yeah, we could debate why we're in the forest fire, why we're drowning, but you don't want to waste too much time.
Well,
You guys should get out of the forest fire.
Some people think it's important that like for their own like bhakti, right? Like this Padmana Swami that was all into this. You know, for him it was like very relevant, I think. But like it's not necessarily
Yeah.
for everyone, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is irrelevant from a Siddhanta understanding what your goal is. It is relevant, right? From like, if you don't know, why you need to go back to Godhead, or why you need to go beyond the place that you maybe started at, then it's not so.
Concrete reason to.
Yeah, you won't act. You won't actually take the process. You won't get out. But once you know that, all right, this is where I have to go, and this place is a forest fire, because most people don't even know they're in a forest fire. They're just getting burned over and over again, and I just don't get it. I went over here and I got burned too. Yes, you're in a forest fire. It's just, you're going to get burned here. Please exit the forest fire. As Jesus would say,
I got all this money and I'm still miserable.
Yes. Oh my God, I can't believe, I'm a billionaire and still, I can't even, look at all this Elon Musk. He's now half the world hates him, and he's the richest man in the world. He's the richest man in the world. Now everyone hates him and he's having so much problem. Someone showed his face. I saw something. He lost $29 billion in one day. And he's just sitting there miserable. They snapped a shot of him finding out, and he's just sitting there miserable. If you told me I'm going to wake up and have $80 billion, you'd be like, oh wow, I'm going to be thrilled tomorrow. But because he had $100 and something billion, and then he lost 29 of it, he's miserable.
It's worth like 500 billion.
Yeah, I don't know what he's worth. I don't
That much money.
I don't care what he's worth. Whatever it is, it's crazy. But
Think what you could do with that money for Krishna.
what's that?
Think what you could do with that money.
Yes. I mean, it's all Krishna's money anyway. I don't know if he'll use any of it for Krishna. Maybe he should ask Tulsi Gabbard how he should use the money, and maybe something good could happen. But I don't know if he'll do that. I don't know if she'll know either.
Well, a lot of people hate her too.
Yes. So anyhow,
Regardless of her name, I don't.
the material world is a place. A lot of people hate Krishna here. People come here, they hate Krishna. Look at Jesus. Jesus came here. He's preaching the pure message of God. He's doing such a good thing. And then, let's put him on a cross and nail nails through his hands and feet. What a horrible thing to do to somebody. Especially somebody who's innocent and pure and giving the teachings of God. And by the Christian standard is God. Yeah, let's crucify him. Yes.
Not that you're making the comparison between Jesus and Tulsi Gabbard or Elon Musk.
Yes. No, but I'm just saying, no matter who it is, you're suffering. Whether it's Craig, Tanmai, Tulsi Gabbard, or Jesus, it doesn't matter. This is a forest fire. Someone's going to throw nails through your feet. And it's a horrible place, actually.
Yesterday only I was reading that everyone except Vishnu on this planet and beyond is going to suffer. Be it the demigod, anyone except Vishnu, Vishnu and his
Yes,
Krishna.
because Krishna is beyond the suffering.
So,
And even Jesus was beyond the suffering. But even someone like, Srila Prabhupada. I mean, I didn't really want to talk about this. My wife's saying, please don't talk about this. But, it's, if you look at the end of his life, I'll just tell you what he said, and then you could, from there, take it. I'm not going to get into it. Very controversial. But Srila Prabhupada was saying that, to an Ayurvedic doctor who has visited him, that he thought someone had given him poison. And I'll leave it right there. But just see, anyone, no matter who you are and what you do, whether pure for God or not, this world is going to slap you around and give you trouble. It's going to burn you. So it's in our best interest to get out. We could either go back to a good place, a better place, or we can go to a place that maybe, we've never achieved before. And never go back. Whatever it is, no problem. But let me finish this paragraph because I'm way over time. The heavenly planets may be very famous for offering better facilities of material enjoyment, but as we learn... Did I read this?
Yes. The first sentence you read.
Yes.
Dwarka.
Okay. Dwarka is certainly more important than the heavenly planets, because whoever has been favored with the smiling glance of the Lord shall never come back again to this rotten earth. Rotten, he says, which is certified by the Lord himself as a place of misery. In Bhagavad Gita, he calls it Dukkalaya. Not only this, but Earth, but also all the planets of the universes are places of misery, because in none of the planets within the universe is there eternal life, eternal bliss, and eternal knowledge. Any person engaged in the devotional service of the Lord is recommended to live in one of the above mentioned three places, namely Dwarka, Mathura, or Vrindavan. This is actually very important. It's called Dham Seva. It's one of the 5 very important things. Eventually, that we want to make our ability to live in these places. But because it's Kali Yuga, Krishna he's made it quite difficult to live in these places. But, anyway, this is the recommendation. Because devotional service in these 3 places is magnified, those who go there to follow the principles in terms of instructions imparted in the revealed scriptures surely achieve the same result as obtained during the presence of Lord Sri Krishna. His abode and he himself are identical, and a pure devotee under the guidance of another experienced devotee can obtain all the results even at present. So how can you live in the Dham? How can you achieve the presence of Krishna? What did I just read? Under the guidance of another experienced devotee. Even if you're a pure devotee, even so, you will need the guidance of another pure devotee, an experienced devotee. Like Prabhupada, he had his Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta, and then even that, in order to take sannyas, his own godbrother, senior, Bhakti Pragan Keshav Maharaj, he needed his assistance in taking sannyas and doing the formal ritual. Srila Narayan Maharaj was the priest for that. Even at the end of his life, Srila Prabhupada, he told his disciples, I'm talking all the controversies today, but he told his disciples, some of them, that they can take instructions from Sridhar Maharaj. And he said these exact words, he's my Shiksha Guru, what to speak of yours? On top of that, there's many videos. Some were taken away. That's another thing. But there were audio recordings of Srila Prabhupada begging Srila Narayan Maharaj to help his disciples. Please help them. So, this is the principle. We need experienced devotees. And even if you are a pure devotee and experienced devotee, Srila Prabhupada, especially when he was leaving this world, he was, whether it was his brother, godbrother Srila Puri Maharaj, or others, he always encouraged and requested the help of his other experienced devotees. And even ourselves, in our lives, if we don't find other experienced devotees to check in with and help us, we're gonna make a mistake. Yes.
Like the principle of Guru is eternal, right? Like even when you go back to Goloka Vrindavan, still you have, Gurus, your Swamis, and all these things.
Yes. Yeah, you're always serving under your Guru. Now, in this world, you may take Diksha Guru, but that person, it is possible. We may have taken Diksha many, many times over. Like, for instance, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his Diksha Guru is not the one he was serving eternally. You know, his Shiksha Guru, Jagannath Das Babaji, was the one that he ultimately was going to render service to eternally. It's another, all kinds of, wow, we're hitting all of the controversial things today. But anyway, this is possible. It's possible also, Srila Prabhupada, his Diksha Guru is Bhaktisiddhanta, and that's the Guru he's going to serve eternally. And what that Swarup in the spiritual world looks like is different. You know, it's not that Bhaktisiddhanta is going to be in the man form that he appeared on this earth, and that's his eternal service to Krishna. He is, it's a bit confidential, but he has a special service, and Srila Prabhupada in his special service mood will serve that servant. But I'm going to leave it there because these things are a little confidential and also irrelevant for kind of the beginning of the Bhagavatam. So anyhow, this is our process. Make sure you're actually practicing the process. You know, not just running through the motions. When you leave here, there is still a process. Keep going. You know, especially Ben, and Craig, it's relevant for you guys because you leave here. But I notice with the boys here as well, they also have to leave at some point, and it's often difficult for them to maintain all the things they probably should maintain. But the process is it's in our life. How are we going to show up to this situation? How are we going to offer this thing to Krishna? It's not like, oh, I have my spiritual life in the morning at the temple when I come to the programs, and then I just have this dreadful material life. No, this is supposed to be your spiritual life too, but how are you offering this to Krishna? And if you can't find any single smidgen of a way to offer it to Krishna, you get the heck out of there. You know, then it's not ideal. So find a way to offer this thing to Krishna. There is a way to offer almost everything to Krishna, especially if it's not directly against those regulative principles, you know, like that. But even there are instances where, you know, like I was selling weed for, I don't know if I'm incriminating myself, but yes, I was doing that as part of my life circumstance, and I was going to the temple, and the devotee there I didn't want to give it up, and he's like, all right, well, just try and offer the fruits to Krishna in some way. So I would donate to the temple, I would buy all the books, I would do all these things with this money. But then eventually, you know, Krishna made it clear, like, nope, here's the stop sign, you're not doing this anymore. So yeah, you can try and offer whatever position you're at, but at some point Krishna might cut the brakes, or he'd say, nah, this isn't going to work anymore. And so you have to just see. But anyway, it's also under the guidance of another experienced devotee will really be the helpful thing. Anyhow, sorry to go so long, but again, all these things kind of creep up in Bhagavatam. We'll get back to more reading, hopefully. Let's make that the thing. But I like all the discourse. Thank you so much, Craig. Happy birthday, Michael. I'll find out your Vedic birthday in like 5 minutes, and then like that, and then maybe we'll celebrate again. Hare Krishna, Ben. Thank you for coming. Oh my God, Piyush and Tanmay, Hare Krishna. Devi, Hare Krishna. Baby, Hare Krishna.